Hello, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda with day 6 of our 30 Days of Sketches, Christy's Beautiful Life, round 9. It's March 2022. Sketch today is from Lottie Loves Paper. So I was kind of looking at the sketch and seeing the stripes along the bottom, and then I was going through my pre-done layouts from my old workshops using the Miracle Kit papers, and I was excited because I knew I had 2 sets of the layouts, so I found one that would work, and then I went to go look in the second set, and apparently I didn't cut them out so that they're identical. They would coordinate but not be identical. So I decided, all right, now what am I going to do? And I pulled out this sheet that I'm going to end up cutting in half and using on both sides, and then I needed to find some sort of complementary cardstock color that would work with my mom's dress. So that's what I pulled out there is Glacier cardstock. So here I'm going to cut these in half, but then it's at this point that I realize, ooh, they don't go all the way across on the sketch. So I cut off 1 inch, and then I'm cutting them down to 4 1/4. And if you're a card maker, you know that 4 1/4 is kind of that magical number for one of the dimensions of cards. But it just turned out for me that it was a nice amount of the colonial white still kept with these stripes, and I knew I was going to take the sticky sheet with the border along it and add that on top, and those are only a 1/2 inch, so I just thought it would be a nice size. Well, then I realized when I was going to add the border strip that these aren't glued down yet, and I need to have that glued down before I can proceed. And there's a lot going on in my world. We are preparing the house to put on the market because we have to move 2,500 miles across country, and just there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to get these done, and I'm also balancing family life and fun, and so my brain is not always functioning as well as when I'm not preparing for a move across country. So they'll add these zip strips, and it's fun. I added this and I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. It just needed a little bit more of that anchoring color. And these are photos again from my mom. I don't know the year for all of them. I know the photos on the right page, it looks like our birthday party with the gentleman that my mom dated in high school, I guess for a couple years. And so those on the back of one of the photos, it said 1961. So I will add that to that layout. I'm not sure any more of what's going on with the photos on the left. I pulled this title block from the stickies again and just pop dotted it up. And then I was looking, and I noticed that the layout had these circle elements in it, and I thought about getting the Cricut out, and as I mentioned, just a lot of projects going on here, and I was thinking, well, I can stencil, but then in cleaning up and packing up stuff in my studio, I remembered I found these pack of doilies. I believe they're from like the dollar stores. So I just thought this would be perfect to add that circle element. And then off screen, I cut one of the doilies down because I didn't like it going through the background. But I wanted to add something to the back behind all the photos in that. So this is the brand new damp and thin cut for scrapbooking of In Full Bloom. And I love these flowers. They're kind of light and airy, and so I tried on the background to make sure that I had the right base color because I didn't want it to be too dark, but I also didn't want it to be too faded. I wanted to find that balance, so that's what I did on the back of the cardstock when you saw there at the beginning. So here it's random stamping, but it's a very open random stamp, and I was holding my hand to represent where that doily goes, so I knew how to stamp around that. And here I'm just taking my blender brush and I'm adding more of that Glacier ink, which is what I said is the color that works with my mom's dress that we end up matting and doing our journaling on. So I'm just adding a real light hand of the Glacier ink. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the right page. So my hand is representing where the doily is. And now that I kind of established some of it, I'm going to move around, and I have the 2 different stamps from the In Full Bloom stamp set. And I'm using the paper to make sure that I don't get ink on the foam, which is the back side of the Versamat. I've done that, and then you end up with ink on the back of your projects or sometimes on your projects where you don't want them because that ink doesn't dry as fast on the foam. So again, I am adding the glacier ink to the center of these flowers, and I really like just how it, I don't know, it's just a soft look, and it especially works, I think, with these older photos. When I put the pages side by side, I realized that I didn't go quite as much ink on the left side, so I'm correcting that here. And now I'm going to show you these flowers that are from the Close to My Heart core idea book, and these are layered flowers. And so what I did is I cut them out of Colonial White, and then the centers I inked with more of that glacier, just kind of keeping my theme here. But now I'm going to reinsert the center of these flowers back into the flowers. So what I did is if you push the die cuts through from the front, they actually settle in a little better. And then I'm just taping each of the petals to make sure that those tiny little slivers don't pop out of there. So I will do the rest of those off screen. I did find this note on the back of one of the photos that gave me more information about what's going on. So here I have those flowers all done, and I'm just taking my finger, and my thumb and my middle finger are crimping each petal of the flower around my middle finger. And it's not a lot, but it just gives it a nice little shape. So here I'm going to audition where I want to put these embellishments, and I realized when I attached these photos that I had just done it a little off kilter. It wasn't quite straight, so I needed to correct that, and I love doing that here. So now, like I said, I'm going to audition where these flowers go as embellishments. I had pulled that one off, and then nope, I'm going to grab that. I also grabbed this stamp set, was the March 2019 stamp of the month, and called This Happened. And I originally thought that because it says remember this, I was going to use the whole thing, but it seemed like it was going to be too big in contrast to the size of the photos I had. So I'm just going to cut the lines out of this, and you can use any good scissors, and don't worry, that stamp, if I want to use that as a card for another layout, will absolutely work just fine. You put everything on a block and you won't even know that anybody cut anything out. So I grabbed some pewter ink just to give me a nice light gray. And here I'm going to grab the leaves that I die cut for the first day, because I'm trying to have a theme that goes through all of these, and sometimes it's going to be just that pewter color, and sometimes it's going to be the shape of the leaves or the flowers, but I'm trying to do kind of the muted tones. So I'm going to speed this up as I place these flowers and leaves, and just like I did with the petal of the flowers, you'll see me kind of crimp the leaves around my index finger again with my thumb and middle finger to just kind of give them some shape, and they're not quite as flat to the page. And I did cut these leaves apart. This is an old thin cut from Close to My Heart that's no longer available, but you can find any thin cut leaf that will work. I just like the laciness of this with the laciness of the doily. So now I'm going to take the tape or the paper off the back of that foam tape, and I'm just having fun here. And it's funny, on the left side I attach the flower and then tuck the leaves underneath, and on the right side I'm attaching the leaves and using the flower kind of as placement, and then attaching the flower. So whatever works for you. Now we're going to add some sequins, and when I do my sequins, I count how many dots of glue I drop on the page, because in the past I have been known to leave a nice dollop of glue without a sequence on it. So there's 3 dots there, and then 3 sequins, and then I'll grab my glue and I'll count the blops again. There's 5 of them, and I'll add my 5 sequins. So that's just what works for me. It I feel like it speeds things along and makes the process a little streamlined. Here I grab my gold shimmer brush because I just felt like it needed a little bit more. So I'm covering my photos, and then I have a little cut apart piece of my nonstick mat, and I use that just because I'll squeeze the shimmer brush to get liquid more towards the tip, and if it spills out, I want it to spill on something I can clean up. So here I'm adding those shimmers, and at first you don't see them, but in the right light, and actually in real life, they really do add quite a bit. And I just did them kind of in a V pattern so that it goes across the layout and brings you across. Here's some close-ups of things, and I hope you have a blessed day. Be sure to check out all the others that are playing with these 30 days of sketches. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you join my crafty community. Have a blessed day.